Have you mastered the tools of your trade? Today we will take a look at why a lot of people don't have a decent command of their tools and why it is worth the effort to improve your knowledge of your tools. Welcome to the Soft Skill channel. My name is Sebastian Jung and today we will talk about the tools of our everyday work. Because in my own professional career, I've encountered a lot of people who didn't have a good command of their tools. I've met IT professionals who had trouble using Excel or standard Windows features. I've encountered people who had to write a lot of text on a daily basis, but who were not able to type using 10 fingers. And I've met people in international companies who didn't have a good command of English. Now, of course, my experience is from Germany and it is entirely from office jobs. Please let me know in the comments what the situation is like in your country and in your field of work. Especially if you are a craftsman. Is there a similar phenomenon there? This would really interest me, so please let me know. Why is it that a lot of people don't know their tools very well? Well, I can only speculate on that, but a few things come to mind. First of all, we don't learn them by default. At least in Germany, you won't learn about standard office applications or typing at school. And at university, they basically expect you to know how to do it, and the same goes for your work. So either you learn it by yourself, that's what I did, or you don't learn it at all. Furthermore, you don't get a lot of credit for having these very basic standard skills. For example, when you're looking for a new job, your possible future employer will just expect you to know about standard office applications and typing and know decent English. And whether you have very little skill there or whether you are quite proficient doesn't make such a big difference. And since you don't get a lot of credit, I can understand that it's not an attractive field where people want to invest a lot of training and time and effort. And also, it's not something we identify with. There is our professional qualification, such as being a lawyer or being an IT person, and there are soft skills, and yeah, that's basically it. And the tools are kind of overlooked. No one would say of himself, yeah, what I do is I sit in front of Word all day and I type text. Even though it's true for a lot of people, that's not what we identify with, and thus it's not very important for us to be highly proficient in that areas. It's a bit different for English or languages in general. In Germany, we learn English at school, but a lot of people barely get a chance to use it afterwards. In a lot of companies, all the documents are German, all the conversations, all the meetings, so you barely get a chance to speak English or to use your English skills, so they deteriorate over the years. I've experienced that myself. I've been working in an international company for several years where all the documents were in English, most of the conversations were in English. I was speaking English on a daily basis and it came really easy to me because I was using it that much. And after that, I've been working at a company for a couple of years where everything was German and there was barely a chance to use English. And when I started my YouTube channels and I did the first recordings for the English version of the channel, I really struggled to speak English, and it was difficult to articulate the English words and the English phrases. And I was really surprised that I was struggling so much, because it came so easy to me a couple of years before, but my skills had remarkably deteriorated during the years where I hardly had a chance to use it. So, is it a problem that we don't know our tools so well? Well, the disadvantage is on you. Let's say you have to write a lot each day and you can't type using 10 fingers. Now, obviously, your superior will still compare you to the people who are able to type well. So you are either the slow one, or you compensate for it somewhere else by being more hasty in other tasks, or by skipping things that might be helpful for you, maybe by taking fewer breaks, which is a pretty bad idea because it decreases your performance, so you are even slower, and yeah, there is a vicious cycle there. So the disadvantage is on you, or the other way around. If you know your tools really well, if you have a great command of your tools, it will save you a lot of time, and your everyday tasks will be much easier and much more comfortable. So it's worth to know your tools well. So back to the title of the video, master your tools. It's worth the effort. Even though your tools are obviously not soft skills, they share a lot of the advantages. For example, they are rather universal. If you have an office job and you want to keep working in an office and you learn to type well, this will be useful for you probably during your entire professional career. And also learning the standard Office applications, Microsoft Office and applications like that will probably also be helpful for you, even if you change the company, even if you change your field of work. As long as you stay in an office, it will be useful. So, how do we approach improving our skills regarding our tools? For Microsoft Office, there are free online courses. I will provide a link in the video description. Free online courses by Microsoft itself that you can have a look at to improve your skills there. And of course, since it is such basic, well-known standard software, there are loads of free tutorials everywhere. Here on YouTube, there are loads of tutorials for all Office applications. And there are also paid ones, for example, LinkedIn Learning or Udemy. They have several. So if you are registered there, you can have a look there. There are a lot of courses offered. And if you try to improve your Office skills, don't overlook Outlook. In a lot of companies, Outlook is used for handling emails and also for handling appointments. And it has several features to help with time management and self-management, especially task tracking. Outlook already has your appointments. A lot of your tasks probably arrive by email, so you can just add the remaining tasks into Outlook. It has features to register tasks, to mark them as done and everything. Then you have a basic time tracking, task tracking. And you can also sort emails into categories, mark emails that you want to get back to later, such as if you have asked someone and he doesn't reply and you want to get back to him later, things like that. So there are a couple of useful features that can make your work life easier, so check it out. And of course, you should have a good knowledge of your operating system, be it Microsoft Windows or Mac OS or Linux. Make sure you know the standard features and you also know things like shortcuts that make your life easier. Regarding typing with 10 fingers, this isn't very hard to learn. There are a lot of tools, a lot of applications that help you learn and train your typing skills. I will provide links to 2 or 3 of them in the video description. And once you have learned the basics, there are also some fun applications you can use. There is Typing of the Dead by Sega, where you can type to fight zombies. And there is a Pokemon typing trainer by Nintendo for the Nintendo DS that includes a keyboard. It's out of production by now, but you can get it used, or you can get it via eBay, Marketplace. You will still be able to find it. Finally, regarding English or other language skills, of course, there are a lot of courses available where you can train your language skills with focus on different areas. For English, there are a lot of courses offered for business English that will, of course, be useful for you if you want to improve your skills for use in a professional business environment. So you will easily find courses there. And of course, if you just want to make sure your listening comprehension and your reading comprehension remains on a good level and doesn't deteriorate, you could also just watch some movies in English or watch a series in English. Or if you are reading a book by an English or American author, you could get the original version instead of a translation, so you can train your English skills and make sure that they don't deteriorate. And the same goes obviously for other languages. And if you want to train your pronunciation and your conversation skills, you could also consider getting a language exchange partner, someone who is a native speaker of English or whatever you would like to practice, and who would like to improve his skills in your native language, so you can support each other in training the language skills. What are the tools you are using most frequently in your everyday work? Let me know in the comments. I'm looking forward to your feedback, and if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate a like. Furthermore, you might want to subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss any future videos, such as next week's book review of Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. For today, I'll take my leave. Have a nice day. See you next time.